What if everything you've been told about ancient history is wrong? What if one of the world's most iconic monuments, the Great Sphinx of Giza, is far older than we've been led to believe? The Great Sphinx is more than just a sculpture. It is a silent guardian of lost knowledge, an enigma carved in stone, standing watch over the desert for millennia. Its origins remain shrouded in mystery, defying conventional history and challenging everything we think we know. Mainstream scholars insist that the Sphinx was built during the reign of Pharaoh Khafre in Egypt's Old Kingdom. Yet, even among Egyptologists, there is no true consensus. Some argue it was commissioned by jackal-headed, Khafre's brother, while others point to geological and astronomical evidence suggesting a much more ancient past, one that predates the pharaohs altogether. If the true story of the Sphinx has been buried, what else has been hidden from us? Lost civilizations? Forgotten gods? An ancient technology we have yet to understand? If you want to explore the secrets of ancient history, subscribe to this channel and join us as we uncover the hidden truths of the past. The journey into the unknown begins now. Mainstream Egyptologists struggle to reach an agreement on the Sphinx's origins. Some credit Khafre, others suggest his brother jackal-headed. Yet no inscriptions or historical records confirm its builder. Unlike the pyramids, where workers' quarters, food supplies, and logistical details have been documented, there is an eerie silence about the Sphinx. This absence of historical evidence raises a question. Why would a monument of such magnitude be left out of Egypt's recorded history? Technically speaking, the Great Sphinx is not a traditional sphinx as depicted in later mythologies. While heavily influenced by Egyptian and Mesopotamian symbolism, the classical Greek interpretation of a sphinx features the body of a lion, the wings of a bird, and the head of a woman. Giza's monolithic guardian is in fact an androsphinx, with its masculine features setting it apart. The absence of wings only deepens the ambiguity of its classification, leaving historians and mythologists alike in perpetual debate. For most of its existence, the Sphinx has been buried beneath the relentless sands of the Egyptian desert, this only revealing itself sporadically to different generations. It was Pharaoh Thutmose IV who, while still a young prince, had a fateful encounter with the Sphinx. According to legend, he had gone hunting and sought rest in the Sphinx's shadow. As he slept, the great monument spoke to him in a dream, commanding him to clear away the suffocating sands. In return, it promised him the throne of Egypt. Thutmose heeded the call and, as history records, ascended to become pharaoh. Yet, the sands would reclaim the Sphinx time and time again. When Napoleon arrived in Egypt in 1798, the monument was once more buried up to its neck. Its nose had already been missing for at least 4 centuries. In the early 19th century, explorers attempted excavations, but it wasn't until 1858 that Auguste Mariette, founder of the Egyptian Antiquities Service, fully exposed the monument. During this process, he uncovered mysterious masonry boxes and remnants of protective walls, remnants of a lost past, still waiting to be understood. The Great Sphinx of Giza has endured centuries of excavation attempts, yet its true history remains buried beneath layers of mystery. In the late 19th century, various efforts were made to fully unearth this ancient guardian. French archaeologist Auguste Mariette had made significant progress, but it was Gaston Maspero, then director of the Antiquities Service, who took on the challenge in 1885. Upon exposing the previous excavation work of Giovanni Battista Caviglia and Mariette, he, too, was forced to abandon the project due to insurmountable logistical difficulties. The relentless pursuit to free the Sphinx from the suffocating sands continued. Between 1925 and 1936, French engineer Émile Barrais undertook a large-scale excavation on behalf of the Antiquities Service. It was during this period that, for the first time since antiquity, the Great Sphinx once again stood fully exposed to the elements. The desert winds, carrying abrasive grains of sand, had long been at work eroding its once pristine features. Yet, what did the Sphinx originally look like? The answer may be far more surprising than most realize. Evidence suggests that this great monument, now worn and colorless, was once adorned in striking hues. Traces of red pigment remain visible on its face, while hints of blue and yellow linger faintly along its massive body. If one were to travel back in time, they might witness a vibrantly painted guardian watching over the Giza plateau. The Sphinx, however, has not merely suffered from natural erosion. Human intervention, sometimes well-intentioned, sometimes destructive, has also taken its toll. During restorations in the 1920s, the statue suffered significant damage, including the loss of a portion of its iconic headdress. By 1931, the Egyptian government recognized the urgent need for reinforcement and enlisted a team of engineers to stabilize the monument. Unfortunately, these restorations only exacerbated the problem. The delicate limestone of the Sphinx proved vulnerable to the weight and methods used in these preservation efforts. The consequences became undeniable in 1988, when a massive 700-pound piece of the Sphinx's shoulder collapsed right in front of a German reporter. This alarming event underscored the fragility of the ancient colossus and the desperate need for more sophisticated preservation techniques. Fortunately, today the Sphinx is under much more meticulous and professional restoration. However, one thing remains certain: its beard will not be returning anytime soon. The remnants of the Sphinx's ceremonial beard, which was eventually lost to erosion, now reside in two separate locations: the British Museum in London and the Museum of Egyptian Antiquities in Cairo. Yet, controversy surrounds the beard's origins. In 1858, French archaeologist Vasil Dobrev proposed that the beard was not an original feature of the Sphinx, but rather a later addition. His argument? Had the beard been part of the original design, its removal would have caused noticeable damage to the chin, damage that is conspicuously absent. The British Museum supports this theory, suggesting that the beard was affixed during or soon after Pharaoh Thutmose IV's restoration project. Once again, we see a recurring theme. Scholars themselves cannot reach a consensus regarding the finer details of the Sphinx's history. Yet, a more compelling argument for an earlier construction date of the Sphinx lies not in its missing beard, but in the absence of recorded history. Archaeologists have discovered inscriptions and evidence detailing the construction of the Great Pyramids of Giza during the 4th Dynasty, records that describe the housing of workers, their diet, and their wages. Strangely, there exists no such documentation regarding the building of the Sphinx. Could it be that the Sphinx predates Khafre's reign entirely? This question becomes even more provocative when considering another key piece of evidence: its face. Geologist Robert Schoch has put forth an argument that challenges conventional timelines. If the Sphinx was truly built under Pharaoh Khafre, then why does its face bear so little resemblance to him? The deeper we dig, the more questions arise. And perhaps that is precisely what the Sphinx was meant to do: challenge our perceptions, defy our understanding, and whisper riddles across the sands of time. For centuries, the true identity of the Great Sphinx has remained shrouded in mystery. While mainstream Egyptology insists that it was built during the reign of Pharaoh Khafre, compelling evidence suggests otherwise. Not only does the face of the Sphinx fail to resemble Khafre, but the monument itself may predate his rule by thousands of years. To investigate this mystery, geologist Robert Schoch enlisted the expertise of Frank Domingo, a forensic specialist with over 20 years of experience in the New York Police Department. Domingo, a master at sketching suspects and reconstructing faces from skeletal remains, conducted an exhaustive analysis comparing the face of the Sphinx to statues of Khafre. His conclusion? The two faces belonged to entirely different individuals. Schoch went even further, asserting that the current face of the Sphinx is not that of a man, but of a woman. If true, this revelation would upend everything we think we know about the origins of this ancient colossus. But there is more. Schoch contends that the Sphinx is centuries older than mainstream scholars claim. His strongest evidence lies in the deep, weathered erosion marks on its body, patterns that suggest prolonged exposure to heavy rainfall over an extended period. But there is a problem. The climate of Egypt during the 4th Dynasty was extremely arid, nothing like the wet, rain-soaked environment needed to cause such erosion. This means that the Sphinx must have been carved thousands of years before Khafre's time, during an era when the land was still lush and fertile. Mainstream Egyptologists have long challenged Schoch's claims, arguing that no known civilization predates the traditional timeline of Egyptian history. one sophisticated enough to build a monument as grand as the Sphinx. But Shok has an answer for that too. He points to Göbekli Tepe, an ancient site in modern-day Turkey that dates back to 10,000 BC, built by an unknown civilization long before the rise of Egypt. The sculptures found at Göbekli Tepe are remarkably advanced, just as sophisticated as the Sphinx, if not more so. If such an advanced society existed in Turkey at that time, why not in Egypt? Could there have been a forgotten civilization, lost to history, that constructed the Sphinx long before the pharaohs? Adding even more intrigue to the mystery is the astronomical significance of the Sphinx's form. The monument, shaped like a lion, may have been built in alignment with the stars. Due to the precession of the equinoxes, the constellation behind the rising sun on the spring equinox shifts approximately every 2,000 years. For the last 2 millennia, that constellation has been Pisces, the symbol of the Christian age. Before that, it was Aries, the ram, and before Aries, it was Taurus, the bull. It is no coincidence that during the age of Aries, ram symbolism dominated Egyptian iconography, while during the age of Taurus, bull worship flourished on the island of Crete. Could it be that the builders of the Sphinx also used astrological symbolism in their grand design? If so, the implications are staggering. According to geological and astronomical evidence, the Sphinx may have been sculpted sometime before 10,000 BC. This aligns perfectly with the age of Leo, which lasted from 10,970 to 8,810 BC. If the Sphinx was indeed built during this time, it would mean that it has stood in the desert for over 12,000 years, a relic of a lost civilization erased from history. Further support for this astonishing theory comes from modern computer simulations such as SkyGlobe 3.0, which confirm an astonishing sky-ground correlation. When the Sphinx was first built, it may have been gazing directly at its celestial counterpart, the constellation of Leo, as it rose on the horizon. If true, this would rewrite human history as we know it. Who built the Sphinx? What lost civilization left this monument behind? And what secrets still lie buried beneath its ancient paws? Modern computer simulations have unlocked astonishing secrets hidden in the ancient sky. These advanced programs can generate precise images of the night sky as seen from any location on Earth at any point in history. In Heaven's Mirror, Graham Hancock reveals a remarkable discovery. When the clock is turned back to 10,500 BC, the constellation of Leo housed the sun on the spring equinox. At that time, just before dawn, Leo would have reclined directly on the eastern horizon, the very direction in which the Sphinx eternally gazes. This alignment is no coincidence. It suggests that the Sphinx, with its unmistakable lion's body, was purposefully designed to mirror its celestial counterpart, forming a connection between Earth and the stars. But Hancock is not the first to propose this theory. A century earlier, in the 1911 book The New Avatar and the Destiny of the Soul, astrologer John Kild made a similar claim. He suggested that the Sphinx represents both the constellations Leo and Virgo, as its lion's body and human head reflect these two celestial figures. When the Sphinx was built, he argued the spring equinox was positioned precisely between Leo and Virgo, further reinforcing its astrological significance. Yet, the mystery does not end there. Researchers Robert and Olivia Temple propose an even more radical theory, one that challenges the very identity of the Sphinx. Not only do they argue that the face does not belong to Khafre, but they suggest it was not even the original face of the statue at all. Their reasoning? The proportions are glaringly inconsistent. The head of the Sphinx is significantly smaller than its massive body, an anomaly rarely seen in Egyptian art. This disproportion suggests that the head was recarved from an earlier design. But if it was altered, what did the original face look like? The temples believe the answer lies in Egypt's ancient guardian of the dead, Anubis. According to their theory, the Sphinx was originally a colossal statue of the jackal-headed god Anubis, standing watch over the necropolis at Giza. If true, this would mean that the 4th dynasty did not create the Sphinx. They merely recarved it into a lion with a pharaoh's head, reflecting the popular imagery of their time. This idea is supported by geologist Colin Reeder, who insists that the Egyptians, masters of stonework, would not have miscalculated so severely as to carve an out-of-proportion head. nor would they have deliberately shrunk it for structural stability. He points to numerous perfectly proportioned monuments that have withstood the test of time. If the Egyptians were capable of such precision, why does the Sphinx's head appear too small for its body? Reader, like the temples, argues that the original head was something else entirely, perhaps an ancient, forgotten deity erased by time. The mysteries of the Great Sphinx of Giza run deeper than most dare to imagine. While many theories have been proposed regarding its true origins, geologist Colin Reeder challenges the conventional narrative. He suggests that the Sphinx was never intended to represent Anubis, but rather a lion, a claim supported by a curious artifact housed in the Cairo Museum. Reeder believes this statue, originally depicting a lion, was altered over time, its ears removed and its face recarved to reflect a different identity. Like others before him, Reeder's primary argument centers on two unexplained anomalies: the extreme weathering of the Sphinx and the disproportionate size of its head. Neither can be satisfactorily explained unless the monument predates the 4th dynasty by thousands of years and was originally something entirely different. But the mystery does not end there. The famed Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, introduced a theory that pushes the enigma even further back in time. Through his alleged ability to enter deep trances, Cayce revealed astonishing claims. Egypt was the repository for records of the lost civilization of Atlantis. According to his readings, this hall of records, containing the wisdom of Atlantis, was hidden beneath the very sands of Giza. Cayce asserted that the Sphinx itself points toward this hidden chamber, which lies beneath its right forepaw. A passageway, he claimed, leads from this entrance deep into the Hall of Records, preserving knowledge that could change everything we think we know about history. In the 1980s and 1990s, the Edgar Cayce Foundation launched a series of research projects around the Sphinx, seeking to verify his readings. Using advanced ground-penetrating technologies, they scoured the area for evidence of hidden chambers. While no definitive discovery has yet been made, unusual cavities and anomalies beneath the monument have been detected, keeping the possibility of a hidden chamber alive. But Cayce is not the only one to suggest that the Sphinx's origins extend far beyond what mainstream history tells us. The most prolific ancient astronaut theorist of the modern era, Zecharia Sitchin, proposed an entirely different explanation, one involving the extraterrestrial Anunnaki. According to Sitchin, the Great Sphinx was deliberately designed and positioned by the Anunnaki using precise latitude and longitude calculations. In his book, The Wars of Gods and Men, he presents a diagram depicting a strategic alignment of ancient sites stretching across Giza, Sinai, Israel, and Lebanon. A dotted line, drawn from Giza to the Sinai Peninsula, aligns with what Sitchin believes to have been an ancient Anunnaki spaceport, operational between 10,500 BC and 7,000 BC. Following a devastating cataclysm, the Anunnaki allegedly rebuilt Mesopotamia and restored their influence on Earth. The Egyptian god Thoth, known to the Sumerians as Ningish-Sita, was credited with designing the pyramids. According to Sitchin, Thoth constructed 2 pyramids at Giza, the first, a smaller prototype, and the second, the Great Pyramid, which was to serve as the southwestern marker of a vast alignment. This alignment extended from Mount Ararat in eastern Turkey, passed through the landing platform at Baalbek in Lebanon, and culminated at the Great Pyramid along the Nile. But the Sphinx? It was something even more significant. According to Sitchin's translations of ancient texts, Enki, father of Ningish-Sita, sought permission from his brother Enlil to construct a monument honoring his son. This monument, intended to announce the age of the lion, was to be positioned beside the twin pyramids and bear the face of its designer, Ningish-Sita. More importantly, it was to gaze precisely toward the Anunnaki spaceport, a cosmic sentinel watching over the landing site of celestial chariots. The spaceport itself was operated by Utu, son of Enlil, and positioned along the 30th parallel, which served as the dividing line between the realms of Enlil's and Enki's descendants. However, not everyone agreed with the glorification of Ningish-Sita. Among the most controversial figures in this saga was Marduk, Ningish-Sita's own brother. Once considered heir to Nibiru's throne, Marduk had been disinherited for marrying an earthling, a move that enraged the Anunnaki elite. Feeling betrayed and wronged, Marduk protested his younger brother's recognition and resented the authority granted to Utu over the spaceport. Tensions escalated. In a bitter struggle, Marduk was eventually defeated in battle by Nergal, another powerful Anunnaki, and subsequently banished to the northern hemisphere. But Marduk was not forgotten. In 3850 BC, King Anu himself, the supreme ruler of the Anunnaki, visited Earth and granted Marduk a pardon, allowing him to return. This event set the stage for a new power shift that would unfold in 3100 BC, a time that would see Marduk's influence grow, altering the fate of ancient civilizations forever. Could it be that the Great Sphinx, this silent guardian of Giza, holds the secrets of a lost civilization, an extraterrestrial legacy, or even the hidden knowledge of Atlantis? Perhaps beneath its weathered surface, the truth still lies, waiting, undiscovered, beneath the sands of time. After centuries of exile, Marduk returned to Egypt, determined to reclaim what he believed was rightfully his. He found Ningish-Sita, his longtime rival, ruling the land with the support of Anunnaki offspring who had taken earthly spouses. Ningish-Sita had reshaped Egypt according to his vision, overturning the very plans that Marduk had once set in motion. For the next 350 years, a titanic struggle unfolded. Marduk, now revered as Ra, waged a relentless power battle against Ningish-Sita. The Sphinx, its gaze fixed upon the horizon, bore silent witness as these ancient gods clashed over dominion. In the end, their father Enki intervened, ordering Ningish-Sita to leave Egypt. His departure was a defining moment, the first great erasure of history. With his rival gone, Marduk seized Egypt completely. Determined to wipe away all traces of Ningish-Sita, he recarved the Sphinx in his own image, replacing Ningish-Sita's likeness with that of his own son, Osiris. No longer just a guardian of the desert, the Sphinx became a celestial guide for Marduk's puppet pharaohs, leading them to an afterlife where their Ka, their eternal spirit, would ascend to the gods. Marduk rewrote Egyptian history, reshaping the myths to fit his own narrative. In his version, Ningish-Sita was demoted, stripped of his divine status, and remembered only as the measurer of the earth. What the Sphinx once symbolized was lost, buried beneath layers of deception, ambition, and time. Yet, despite the efforts of ancient rulers and modern historians alike, the true origins of the Sphinx remain a subject of great debate. The lack of consensus among academics, combined with compelling astronomical and archaeological findings, has led many to believe that the Sphinx is far older than Egyptologists are willing to admit. And admit is the key word. First, it is crucial to recognize that not all Egyptologists are archaeologists. In fact, many are not even academics in the traditional sense. To be an Egyptologist means that one's research and theories are confined within the rigid timeline of dynastic Egypt, a framework that may very well be flawed. Second, mainstream Egyptologists resist acknowledging the possibility of a far more advanced civilization existing before their supposed ancestors. The idea that Egypt's greatest monument was not the work of the pharaohs, but of a lost and forgotten civilization, threatens everything they have built their careers upon. However, outside of mainstream archaeology, a growing number of renegade scholars are daring to question the official timeline. These rebel researchers, unrestricted by conventional dogma, are blazing a trail toward a radical new understanding of the Sphinx's true antiquity. Among them, Robert Schoch's research presents an unsettling challenge to Egyptologists. His findings suggest that an advanced civilization predates the accepted timeline. Yet, while some scholars entertain the possibility of a lost pre-dynastic culture, few ask the next, most crucial question: where did this civilization come from? Enter Zecharia Sitchin. Unlike mainstream academics, Sitchin provides an answer to this very question. Yet, just as Egyptologists dismiss unorthodox theories from their own colleagues, mainstream scholars go even further, mocking, ridiculing, and outright rejecting the ancient astronaut hypothesis. This divide between academic conformity and radical exploration explains why those on the fringe push further into the unknown. The Great Sphinx of Giza is more than just a monument. It is a challenge to our understanding of history. For centuries, scholars have attempted to decode its secrets, yet the most fundamental questions remain unanswered. Who carved it? When was it built? What was its original purpose? No inscriptions name its creator. No ancient records detail its construction. It stands alone, defying the timelines of mainstream Egyptology. The erosion patterns, the astronomical alignments, and the glaring inconsistencies in its design all point to a reality that modern academia refuses to acknowledge. The Sphinx is far older than we have been told. But if the conventional narrative is flawed, what hidden history are we missing? Was the Sphinx the legacy of a forgotten civilization, lost to time? Was it a beacon for celestial watchers, aligned with the stars in a cosmic blueprint? Or was it a monument to gods who once walked the earth, shaping human destiny in ways we have yet to comprehend? Truth has a way of resurfacing, no matter how deeply it has been buried. In an age where technology allows us to uncover what was once thought impossible, perhaps it is time to reconsider everything we believe about our past. The sands of Giza may have concealed the Sphinx's true story for thousands of years, but the questions it raises can no longer be ignored. Maybe the real mystery is not just who built it, but why its secrets have been guarded so fiercely for so long.